Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you a few mindset shifts that I have applied to my life that has helped me see and approach life differently. I am a firm believer that if ever you want to see some change in your life, whatever it might be, then you need to be able to change as well, because your reality is really a reflection of your beliefs and who you are. And it all starts with a mindset. So without further ado, let's get into it. It does not have to be all or nothing. I don't know about you, but I used to be the person, and sometimes I still am, the person that believes that it has to be all or nothing, or otherwise it will not count. For instance, I would either think that I needed to wake up super early at 6 a.m. or it would be too late and my day would be ruined. When it came to my workouts, I used to think that I had to work out every day, or otherwise I would be considered a very lazy person. And even when it came to accomplishing tasks, I would think that I had to sit down and do the big task in one go, rather than kind of like spreading it out on a few days and doing it in installments. And the worst is when it came to my nutrition, because I would have phases where I would be ultra healthy or the complete opposite and eating very dirty. In my mind, if I did not do something super intensively and go all in that, then it would not be worth it and it would not count. And while I know a lot of people really thrive with that all or nothing kind of mindset, for me that mindset felt very imposing and very heavy, and in the end it would be kind of a hurdle in my journey that would lead me to procrastination and even burnout. Ultimately, I felt that this all or nothing mindset really slowed me down from any type of progress, because I would have months where I would be in my alpha state and just go all in and all out, and then months where I would find myself in a slump. Now I have more of a anything and everything matters kind of mindset when it comes to effort, because I really feel like if I am chipping away every single day, slowly but surely I am building the habits that will lead me to the life of my dreams. Now I don't have a hard wake-up call at 6 every morning. It really depends on the sleep that I feel like I need. And if ever one day I wake up a little bit later, that's okay. I don't feel like my day is ruined and the day's over and it won't matter whatever I do anymore. I try to have a more healthy approach to it. So I will regroup for a few minutes and go through like my morning routines, at least use some of the tools that really help me be my better self, and still try to carry out my day to the best of my abilities. And regarding my workouts, I personally think you don't need to be working out every day anyways. I think it will be very straining on your body, and I adopt more of a go with the flow kind of approach depending on my menstrual cycle and where I am, in that cycle, to define the intensity and the nature of my workouts. And when it comes to my healthy habits, in terms of nutrition, I also have a much more consistent kind of like approach to it. If one day I find myself going for a very cheat meal kind of thing for lunch, that doesn't mean that my whole day is ruined and that my dinner also needs to be very naughty. I try to then balance it out by ordering something or cooking something that is much more healthy, that will counterbalance the little treat that I gave myself for lunch. So if, like me, you think that this all or nothing mindset might be slowing you down in the long run, then maybe it's time for you to shift your mindset and adopt a much more mild approach that will help you reach your goal so much easier. Because in the end, every single effort that goes towards your goals should matter and should count. No one is responsible for your happiness but yourself. This one might be hard to hear, but I have been in those situations many times myself, where it would just be easier to blame my unhappiness on anyone else but me. In the end, happiness is a choice, and it's a choice you need to make for yourself. If we depend on others to bring us happiness, then the minute that they don't deliver on this huge task, it's going to make us feel hurt and unhappy, and it is giving them way too much power on us. I have found that the key is to really make sure that you're filling your own cup and that you are creating fulfillment for yourself. The way that I like to see it is any happiness that people are bringing in your life should be icing on the cake or the cherry on top. but not the cake itself. The cake itself is the happiness that you are creating for yourself. And maybe happiness is not really the right word here. Maybe it's more about fulfillment, but whatever it is, it should be found from within. So let's say that you think a relationship from this guy or proposal from this guy is going to bring you the ultimate happiness. So now you're putting all your happiness in the hands of this person, and you're also submitting yourself to an impossible emotional elevator where you'll be overreading signs of whether or not this proposal or this relationship is going to happen, and therefore if ever this happiness is going to happen for you. Sadly, this is just giving him way too much power. And the way that I would approach it is, the minute that you think that your happiness is going to depend on this relationship or this proposal, is the minute you should be aware that there is something lacking within you. So this is a minute where you should be doubling down on the work that you do on yourself and really become obsessed with you. Find a new hobby, be surrounded by your loved ones, make new friends, make a lot of plans, but make sure that you are building such a fulfilling life for yourself that a proposal and a relationship will not change and not affect your happiness at this moment. And in the eventuality that this relationship or this proposal actually happens, then it will just be cherry on top, but it won't be the cake itself. In my mind, happiness or fulfillment are way too precious things to be given to someone else. Why not you? We live in a world where we have access to so many people's lives, and subconsciously we have a tendency to compare ourselves to them. We see all those people on social media going viral, achieving immense success and living the life, and subconsciously I think it's only natural that sometimes we find ourselves envying that, and sometimes we might actually see all this and sort of think that, oh, this life is too good to be true. This life could never happen to me. But here's the thing. This world that we're living in right now is actually built by people that are no smarter than you and I. Every time I think about this, I'm just like mind blown, because if they can do it, that means we can do it too. Which means that everything that we see online, all those extraordinary lives, are actually a representation of what is possible to achieve. It all comes down to if you're able and if you want to put in the same amount of time, the same amount of efforts, the same amount of sacrifice and energy that they did to build whatever they are living in right now. And if you do, I think there's no real questions on whether or not you'll be able to achieve it. But the question is really, are you willing to do it? Because let me tell you something, there is no one that has been chosen to live a more extraordinary life than you. So the next time you find yourself envying someone's success or life, I want you to remember something. They were not chosen, okay? You are not less than them. If they can do it, you can do it too. The real question is whether or not you're willing to give what it takes. The best is the enemy of the good. This is a quote from Voltaire, and it actually sounds much better in French. In French it is le mieux est l'ennemi du bien, and it's basically about how sometimes perfectionism can really come in the way of you just doing something. This quote was actually taught to me by one of my ex-bosses when I was working a corporate job, and he would basically tell me how sometimes my perfectionism could really get in the way of me just delivering on a task. He was basically teaching me that sometimes, it's better to finish up and deliver a task that is good enough very quickly rather than wait longer to make it more perfect. And you know what? I could not agree more. Sometimes good enough is good enough. And I think we've all been there at some point. I mean, how many times have we wanted to launch a business or, publish this video, but we keep delaying it because it's not perfect enough. We just let our perfectionism come in our way. And here's the thing, a lot of times things do not have to be perfect before they see the light of day. Some things just need to be good enough. I really believe in the launch now and pivot later kind of mindset because it helps you kind of act as fast as possible when it comes to launching a business or starting a new career, and then you can still make improvements and adjustments down the line. Let me give you an example. So you have this idea of a business, you have a prototype that is working, right? There are two case scenarios here. The first one is You have a prototype that is good enough, so you decide to launch it as it is and then make improvements down the line. So the next couple of months, you would have had some more reach in regards to the visibility of your business, but also you might get some real feedback from potential clients that will help you make very productive improvements and adjustments in regards to your business. Whereas we had the second case scenario where you have a prototype that is working, it's good enough, but yet you do want it to be perfect before it sees the light of day. So for the next 3 months, you just work on perfecting it. And as great as it sounds, in 3 months' time, you are launching, but you are starting from scratch because you have zero reach and you have zero feedback. So in 3 months' time, with the good enough mindset, you have had some progress. Whereas with the perfectionist approach, well, you kind of are starting from scratch. Having a good enough mindset has really helped me get rid of a lot of hurdles that would make a task heavy and has allowed me to try and do more things. You come first. Too often, we fall in this pattern of taking care of everyone else before we take a minute for us. But that ends up with us feeling irritated, frustrated, and very often drained. So we need to change that. We need to take care of us first before we decide to take care of everyone else around you. I want you to picture this, okay? You have a half-filled cup with water, and you want to share that water with 3 people. So you're going to distribute it, but there's not going to be much to distribute, and in the end, the cup is going to be empty. And then you have a cup that is filled to its brim with water. There's going to be so much more to give to those 3 people, and there might even be some left for you. Do you see what I mean? Like, before filling up everyone else's cup, how about you fill yours first? When you decide to put yourself first, meaning you take care of you, you take time for you, and you do the things that you know are going to bring you happiness and fulfillment, then you're going to be a much better person to start with, but also you're going to be able to take so much better care of your loved ones. Personally, I love to dedicate the morning time to me because I love to have this time in the morning where I am alone and I do all the things that I know really energize me and make me happy, whether it is 30 minutes where I'm just reading and sipping on my coffee, or whether it is a couple of hours where I am doing a workout class and then I go for breakfast on my own. This little time that I spend with myself doing all my wellness things is what brings me happiness and what helps fill my cup. And then I know that I'm gonna be such a better person to be around, and I'm gonna be much more able to take care of everyone else around me. What happens to you is good for you. My mom used to tell me this all the time. When I was a kid, I would not understand what she meant by this because sometimes not so great things would happen for me, and I would just think that she was not being very nice to me. But now I do see life as this big school, and I know it's cliche, but basically everything that you go through, whether it feels positive or negative in the moment, in the end is a lesson for you to learn. Let's say that right now you really are going through a rough patch, and hearing something like whatever happens to you is good for you might be very hard to hear in the moment because you might not see how this is actually going to help you. But what you don't know is that this event or this situation that you are in right now is actually building you up and preparing you to handle your future better. And I know it is very hard to hear, but you just need to trust the process and know that whatever happens, the universe actually has your back and has your best interest at heart. Let's say that right now you are really looking for a job and you are going for rounds and rounds of interviews, and all you are facing are rejections. That is very hard to receive. And thinking whatever happens to you is good for you might be very hard to hear, but also you might just feel like the situation is very unfair. But what you might not know is that maybe none of those jobs were good for you to begin with, and none of them you would have thrived in. And maybe if one of those jobs actually accepted you, you might have realized down the line the environment was super toxic, or that the amount of work would just drive you to burnout. You'll never know how a rejection might actually be a blessing in disguise. And the same applies for when something great happens to you. It serves as a token of appreciation for the great work that you did. More and more, I just find myself really believing in this concept of divine timing, which is basically saying that if you deserve something and if you're ready to receive it, you will. You just need to trust the process. You are enough. We live in an age right now where self-development and self-improvement is so talked about, which is amazing. But sometimes I feel like some people might get entrapped with the idea that they need to do all this work before they are enough. But the truth is, you'll never get there, There is no actual finishing line for self-development and self-improvement. It's not a game that you can finish. There's always going to be something that you can work on. There's always going to be something that you can learn about yourself. And that is what makes life so beautiful. So yes, I think it's very healthy to be aware and mindful of the areas of your life that you want to work on and you want to improve. But you also need to remind yourself that right now, as you are enough. You are enough and worth all the blessings that life has for you in the state that you exist right now. When I look back on my personal life, I have just realized that this feeling of not being good enough comes a lot of times from rejections and how you would take them personally. And here are a few ways that you can reframe those beliefs so that you can detach from those rejections and that you understand that you're enough as you are right now. First of all, if you are rejected from a job application that you did, it's nothing to do with you. It just means that the skill set that you have right now is not exactly what the company needs. The second case scenario is when you face rejection by a person, whether that is in a romantic relationship, a friendship, or even like a family relationship. I find that that happens because personalities clash and maybe people are not a good match. Maybe they are not able to give you what you need right now, or vice versa. But I need you to remember something. If someone does not accept you for all that you are and does not see your value, then I'm sorry, but that person is not worth it and does not deserve you. I need you to start walking around with your shoulders a little bit more squared and your chin a little bit more up, because I need you to feel a little bit more entitled to everything that life has to offer to you, because you deserve it as much as the next person. Unfortunately, right now, maybe you don't feel like you deserve this job or you deserve this relationship, and that might be the actual reason why you don't get it. I know, it's a little bit deep and, a little bit uncomfortable to think that way, but it's so important that you shift your mindset and that you understand that you are enough the way that you are right now. And that is a wrap on the 7 mindset shifts that I have been applying in my life, and I feel is helping me really approach life in a much more productive way, and is also helping me become the better version of Divya that I want to be. I hope you found this video helpful, and I would really like to know in the comments which one of those mindset shifts has resonated with you the most. For me, my favorite right now is the best is the enemy of the good, because I am really trying to level up my YouTube game, and it is helping me not to over edit my videos to the point where I feel like it will be, perfect, and just publish it, because I have made my peace with the fact that there's always going to be a lot of editing that you can do to make a video better, but sometimes good enough is good enough. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time and your attention, and I will see you soon for another video.